Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to part 3 of the No Mining Challenge. That's right, we are playing Minecraft with no mining required. You might think, no Toycat, that must be impossible. There are so many things you need to mine for, but the truth is, through this series, we're kind of proving that that's not the case. We've made an entire house, or I guess really I've made most of a house. I mean, we're missing the floor, but like, when does a house need a floor? But yeah, we've made most of a house, no mining required. We've gone all these great things, including my chain armor set, no house required, and today I wanted to prove how a lot of the things that you might think, yeah, well, you need to have a house for that, really you don't need. And in fact, I also wanted to prove that there's a lot of things in Minecraft, the little tips that you might not necessarily know about, and you might not necessarily realize even at all until realize the series. So living off the land, doing what we gotta do, today is part 3, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully all of you are too. So my first little adventure is going to be bringing me through the jungle right here, because I want to go back to the jungle temple, because I need to get myself a furnace to cook up this raw fish, because eating raw fish is just really bad. It has a really low saturation value, has a really low hunger value, it fills 1 bar. It's just no one wants to eat raw fish. However, if you want to cook fish, you need to have a furnace, and if you want to have a furnace, you need to mine some stone, which ruins the no mining challenge, right? We have to go underground, or we still have to do something that counts as mining, right? However, if you find a jungle temple, and you know we did a while back, oh, also, we got some melons here, but if you find a jungle temple, like we did, then you can just go use that, and that's going to be our kind of alternative, for finding cobblestone. We're going to make a bunch of furnaces, we're going to cook up our food, but also I'm going to be proving a point that a lot of people forget when it comes to furnaces that, might actually be useful for your regular Minecraft world, because I always forget it too, until you really start to dive into the efficiency. I think, with this series, we're hopefully going to prove a few points that, like, yeah, what really matters is if something's faster. Like, in Minecraft, it's a game, do what you want to do all the time. That's entirely fine. But if you want to do the most efficient thing, sometimes it's surprising how different that is to what you might figure it is. I'll find it eventually. It's fine. Well, that's odd. One of the things about leaves, I mean, we saw the chicken combined of leaves recently, right? But you can also get leaves in the same block as you can get water, which leads to just the most bizarre looking blocks in the game, in my opinion. Especially because it forms naturally that way now. Which I guess is more proof that I started this world in 1.6 or 1. After the aquatic update at the very least, right? So, seeing this cow reminds me of a fun little story, because a man once attacked me with milk and cheese. How dare he? So my favourite pro tip for when you're not sure what you're doing in a jungle is just to stack yourself up or to climb a tree, because usually just a little bit of a bird's eye perspective lets you know, like, oh, well, I mean, the beaches to the north and to the south, it looks like we have a mega tiger, which means I've gone so far I've hit another mega tiger biome, or big thing, which is kind of cool if you ask me. And yeah, it looks like the jungle temple isn't around here, so I know it must have been slightly more north than I'm looking right now. Useful things like that. Always climb trees in jungles. It's just useful. So yeah, the wonderful thing about jungle temples is not only do they have a bunch of mossy cobblestone. If you want that, like me, and for some reason, you can't find a mega tiger biome, one of the best sources of getting it is to just dive into one of these, and you can obviously go around, you can get all the mossy cobblestone you like, but they also have a bunch of cobblestone built in, which means, unlike where regular mining stone, where you have to mine stone, it just turns into mossy, it turns into, cobblestone, what if you could just go around and mine the cobblestone right up? And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today, just because I think it's going to leave the place looking really, like, a lot more actually deserted if we remove the cobblestone, because yeah, just having holes, it's going to make the jungle temple more interesting, again, a lot more ugly probably too, but more interesting looking, and give us a bunch of cobblestone, which right now we actually do need, because yeah, if you want to start a furnace or anything like that, and you don't want to do it by mining, then this is just the best way. And in case you have been curious, like, one of the things I always recommend doing if you're, like, kind of not familiar with a structure is to kind of tear it apart, just because then you get a much better understanding of, like, what's actually inside, where the secret chambers are and stuff like that, because every now and then, especially with ocean monuments, you find, like, secret, and so, same with woodland mansions, you'll find a secret room just because you're destroying through a wall, for instance, and you'll be like, wait, is there a whole secret room here? It's a fun little thing that maybe you've never done before. Okay, so we're back from our trip to the jungle. I kind of learned there's kind of 2 pro tips here to do with hunger. The first one is if you want to get a furnace, go find a jungle temple. there's probably not one too far away, especially if you're in a jungle. And there's a few other structures that have stone in them you can mine. Some houses, for instance, and the village wells in every single village. But the other thing to keep in mind is that if you go for a jungle anyway, there are just melons everywhere in that thing. I didn't realize just how common they were on Bedrock and how big jungles could be, but literally there was a lifetime supply of melons. Even if I don't start my own melon farm, I just have to go back into the jungle and I've got that covered. But also, now I've got enough stone to make multiple furnaces, and you better believe I'm going to be doing that, because one of the things about furnaces that you might not know is not only do they cook things, but they can cook things into coal. So again, I know this is it's a fairly basic Minecraft tip, but it's one you never think about, and it's one you've probably not done in a very long time. So pro tips of Minecraft, we're going to be pro tips of Toycat, sorry, for Minecraft. We're going to be giving you a little bit of a useful tip here, because if you put, so if we use a piece of coal, charcoal, regular coal actually, to make charcoal, charcoal is one of the most amazing inventions in Minecraft, because think about it, what's easier to find, wood or coal? And you might be like, wood. And coal sometimes naturally happens, it gives you XP, so you might want to go for it if you're mining anyway. But if you're not mining, how much easier is it to get wood than coal? Like, literally, it comes everywhere, and all you have to do is take the one charcoal you get, so we take one piece of charcoal out, and one piece of charcoal can be used to make 8 more bits of charcoal. So you lose 1 in every 8, blocks you would otherwise mine, which kind of sucks on the surface. But on the other hand, think of it this way. Every single 8 blocks you mine gives you 7 pieces of charcoal. So all you need is a consistent farm source of that, and boom, you've got an unlimited source of charcoal, which again can be used because most people, they limit the number of torches they use, they bring, because you have to mine coal first, or they limit the amount of things they smelt, and there's a lot of just downsides to it. However, if you have raw fish, you want to smelt it, all you gotta do, okay. I need to make a floor for this place soon, by the way. I know, don't worry, it's in my head. But yeah, you can make that really, really fast. And charcoal works exactly the same as coal. Every single recipe that can use coal also uses charcoal, which is kind of wonderful. And it looks a little bit uglier as an icon, but let's be honest, coal isn't going to win any beauty awards anyway. So yeah, that's my logic right here. Now we've made some torches while living off the land entirely, and we can even get some more charcoal out, use it as, I guess we'll also, yeah, use it to fuel our fish, which we need to cook up, because I'd like to do that. Also, we got some beef and some mutton, but still, look how amazing charcoal is. The ratio of how fast you can get it, especially with a good axe. Bear in mind, this is an iron axe. This chops a piece of wood in about, I want to say it's like 0.4 seconds. It takes just roughly half a second, and I can get wood this fast. This is piece of coal, piece of coal, piece of coal. That's amazing by itself. So yeah, just a little pro tip for you right there. You might not realize it. If you need a lot of torches, it's always better to use charcoal. And it's also, charcoal is renewable, whereas coal is not. So, a lot of people these days in real life are, big on their, renewing energy or whatever. You can renew energy in Minecraft too, because trees, you just replant them when you're done, and you get more charcoal. So, it's wonderful. It's a little pro tip that you might not be familiar with. Another one is that you can turn 4 string into wool. If you need wool really badly, you can do that. But also a thing you might not realize is you can obviously turn bone into bone meal. Like, this is the most valuable use for bone if we're being realistic. But you can take bone meal and you can combine it with, any different colored wool, and you can get white wool that way too. So if you want to get all white wool for a bed, you can do that. And again, I know that's like fairly basic, like dyeing technique. You often, personally, I don't think of bone meal as being white dye enough, and maybe you don't either. And if you do, then you get to feel real smart, because like, look, I know that thing Toycat's telling everyone. You can feel smug about it. Be like, yeah, look at me, I got this stuff down already. That's fine too. I figured I'd give out the pro tips, because there's so many small, like Minecraft crafting things that a lot of people don't know. Because, like, there's so many crafting recipes in this game, it's hard to know them all. And even when they're, like, all here, it makes it almost harder to know them all, because they're all just being displayed on screen right in front of you. It's a pretty wild thing. So, next up, we're going to be working on the front of the house, actually. So, yeah, first of all, actually, these, if you look around here, there's a lot of, like, ugly missing blocks. I think I want to make this go all the way down, or not go all the way down. And I haven't entirely decided which yet, but I definitely want to do one of those two things, which is like the least information anyone's ever given on anything. So, sorry about that, I guess. I guess we need to remove these. Yeah, these additional blocks down here do need to go, which I guess also means these ones. So, yeah, we're going to remove all of these, and then the wood we get, we're going to work on this front of the boat, because making it one wide was great at one point, but I don't think it really lasts anymore. So we're going to make it like a 3D front of the, again, I don't know if it is a boathouse or it's a houseboat, but it's going to be some weird amalgamation of those two things. The interesting thing about working on a build of this nature is like when you have two like conflicting things, which one overwrites which. And I think the answer is always actually vaguely hard to come across. But I think in this case it's like, actually, we'll definitely make this go this way. There we go. Okay, so now we've got Now we've got like a front of the ship that's like a little bit of a stern, a hull. I don't know boat terms enough. Like, a lot of people go on boats on a regular basis, but like, I literally use boats very rarely as a form of transportation when you're in one of those cities that like literally requires it. And otherwise it's like, no, not really a thing I do. But yeah, this is my boat front. I'm worried it looks, in fact, I'm almost certain it looks a little bit weird. So what we're going to do, just to balance things out, is we're going to place down, actually, we can't even do that, it's like too high. But I want to have, oh yeah, what we'll do is we'll place some blocks over here. And we'll just have like a little like external third thing, which should make it a little bit more cylindrical, which is not a good thing, usually speaking. But it might be over here. So yeah, you can, oh, looks like on that side we go a little bit further. This is my front of the boat now. And it looks a lot more like the front of a real boat, right? Which makes it arguably more confusing that it's combined with a very diagonally square, like, what is that, a rhombus-shaped house? Yeah, that's fine, though. That's fine. I think we've got something here, at least. So yeah, I would say this looks a lot more like a boathouse, or at least what I'm going for, like the cryptically, like, what is that kind of house? Which is exactly the feeling we want it to have. Now we have to ask the very tricky question of what are we going to use for the floor? Because I don't want to use jungle wood again. I want to diversify a little bit. And, dirt was my immediate thought, but then it's like, someone's going to use this as an example, like, look, if you don't, go mining in Minecraft, you start using dirt, so we'll use something a bit nicer, I think. Wait, I've just had my idea. Because I have all this sand, we're going to take advantage of it, we're going to have a little bit of a throwback to my first ever Minecraft house. Yes, the ugly one from the 360 Let's Play. We're going to take just giant stacks of sand, and we're going to turn them into glass, and we're going to have a glass floor. So yeah, we've got a lot of sand that we need to turn into glass. We're going to need like a solid 4 stacks, I want to say, for this. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to finish like our stripping pattern on the outside, just to make it look a little bit more consistent. Because it looks really weird when you have half your house stripped and half your house not stripped. I mean, that's also true for people. Is that true, actually? I guess it's the opposite is true. Probably the opposite of a statement you want to be making as a YouTuber too. So yeah, the outside is going to have these little jungle woods, kind of facing inwards like we had before. I think it looks kind of nice, more refined this way. And then everything else is going to be made purely of glass, which incidentally, we're going to be smelting using our charcoal stack, which is going to be just going insane now. So yeah, glass, smelting, kind of fun. Looking forward to this. So I've just decided, given I have a diamond pickaxe and I don't really believe in mining, I think this would be the perfect weapon from here on out. Because, let's be honest, it does the same damage as an iron axe, as well as the same as like a stone sword, which is pretty good, but then also can be a multi-miner. It's like a 2-in-1 tool. And because I hate that you have to carry like 4 things around you in Minecraft. It seems so inefficient to have, a pickaxe plus this, plus that. It just seems like you're wasting everyone's time. Whereas if you combine the pickaxe and the sword, because let's say you don't really intend to use one of those things too much, it just seems wholly more efficient to me. So yeah, I'm on board with this entirely. I don't know how I'm going to turn this into a thing, by the way. I've also decided, because I feel like too many furnaces in a row looks kind of lonely and kind of sad, and it just looks like you're mass producing. Because I'm artisanally handcrafting every one of these glass panes by hand, I'll put a dispenser in between, and it looks like just a little workshop. Like, oh yeah, you got 2 furnaces and the dispenser's there. So really, this is just a place that happens to have furnaces. I find that's a useful little pro tip for you right there in real life. Want to make things look fancy? Just throw in unrelated stuff and people will love it. So yeah, now I've given you a fun little, a fun few recipes, and I've also, helped you realize the real value of not mining. Hopefully by now you really see it. Like, I don't have any of these nice things, and that's because I spend too much time mining, not enough time just grabbing the free things in my world. Even though I love mining and it just got easy recently. But yeah, let's talk now about the hypothetical of the week, because every one of these no mining episodes, I feel like we should answer a hypothetical question. Hypothetical is one of my favorite things, so I feel like, in the time where we've got stuff like, oh yeah, we've got to mine out this place in front of my house because we want to have a garden or like at least some space here so the house looks more normal. We want to have this, be less naturally confined as the house. While we do stuff like that, we can answer everyone's favorite thing, hypothetical questions. Or at least, again, I've heard only some people's types of favorite things, but my favorite things. And it's my channel, so let's go with this. So let's talk about what is perhaps my favorite hypothetical, because it's, let's say there is a disease that kills everyone besides 1 in a million people. There is only 1 in a million people left on Earth. You can picture the zombie apocalypse if you want to, but let's just say whatever it is. Like, oh no, it's like the flu, but it kills everyone. But somehow only 1 in a million people are resistant to this disease. Everyone's dead besides you and every 1 in a million people. How do you survive with that? And it's one of my favorite questions because there's so many angles to this, thing that like everyone doesn't necessarily appreciate. Like the first one is like if 1 in a million people survive, you're like, wow, that's looking pretty dire. That's like how many people are alive in my country, like 6, or in my case 65 or so in the UK. That's pretty bad. But it means that like across the human population, there is 7,000 people that are left alive. That is a lot of people. In fact, almost 8,000. I think we're approaching 8 billion people at some point in the near future. 8,000 human beings left alive. You know, when someone says you're 1 in a million, really what they're saying is like, there's like 7,000 replacements of you. And the other thing I think people don't fully appreciate is the fact that, like if you're gonna have 7,000 people left alive, it's like, hey, that's a lot of people, eh? But realizing like how bad population densities are, especially in the places where most people watching this video will live. Like if you live in the United States, like, oh yeah, sure, there's 300 people left alive, but in your state, you are likely the only one for most states in the union, at least. So like you got like realizing that some places you're just like, well, there's no one on any piece of land connected to me. I have to learn to fly a plane, or I have to learn to swim real far, I guess. That's like a real issue that's going to strike real fast. Also, just to quickly start on this, using glass seems like it's not going to work so well. Maybe we need to have the floor be lowered down another level, because I feel like if we use it at this level, things are going to get ugly. Whereas we go down a level like this, then we'll have a layer of water that we might have to get rid of. But I think it blends a lot better, whereas this, you can see that, yeah, I think we're going to have to, let's just give it a little try right here. I think if we use, glass down here instead, we're just going to have a better time in general. So I guess we'll do that, and then we'll deal with the water later. You know, having water on the bottom of your house is actually a good thing, and here are 10 reasons why. And, the third thing I feel like you're going to realize from this is, like, Jesus, I am so unprepared for, like, any emergency. Which is a good thing. Like, the funny thing is the world works best when people assume there's no emergency. Stuff like, wars are really bad for humanity. Fun fact, by the way, war equals not good. Let me get right at you of that controversial opinion. But I guess to start, we need to, go, like, to start the actual question, we need to go into, like, every time this comes up, I'm going to give the same advice. So you might have heard this before if you're a long-time fan, but see that as a good thing, that you're a super fan and the common advice right here. So the most common advice is, first of all, download a copy of Wikipedia. In the same way we mentioned in episode 1, if you're stranded on a desert island, you're going to want to have some amount of human knowledge. Wikipedia is going to have that. A local library is going to help, but like, can you navigate a local library, especially in a time of crisis? Maybe not. Whereas, can you browse, a little app on your phone? I'm sure you can. So, download Wikipedia. It's just like step 1. Get as many things, get as much information as you can, because information is going to be the kingmaker, I believe, at some point. The second thing you need to know, or the second thing you're going to need to do, is you're going to need to fill up your bathtubs. You're going to need with water, because water gets a lot less clean, and the pipes aren't going to be managed. It's going to be an issue as time goes on. Fill up your bathtub right now. Keep that bath and that area as clean as you can, as like separate from bugs in the environment. And boom, now you've got safe, clean drinking water. Boom, that's step 2 sorted. And I guess also, like, you've got a limited amount of time. Try and find, if you can, battery banks that run on batteries, because then you can keep your stuff charged forever. Because realistically, having a phone, even though most people aren't going to have phones, it's going to be useful. Knowing the time, knowing where north is, GPS satellites, I want to say, will last for quite some time without human intervention, so you'll be able to know where you are in the world. That's going to be amazingly valuable. Try and find one of those things. Those are like 3 key things to help you survive, I feel like. Like, obviously food. If you're 1 in a million people, you don't need to worry about that. Like, it's funny because it's almost a good thing in some way. In some very specific ways, it's a good thing if the world ends, because there's like, there's a lot less things to worry about, right? You're less likely to, go hungry because there's a limited amount of food for the first while. There's going to be a little bit of time when, the world, everyone besides you is dead, where it's going to be like, wow, this is like a party. I am glad they're all dead. You got like, 2-3 years, maybe more, because canned food, where it's just like, you can do whatever you want. You know that life you're dreaming of right now? Besides the other people in it, you can do that. But yeah, really the bulk of the question isn't about like, oh, how much fun would it be if everyone else was dead besides me? Which, is, as an introvert, is my favorite way of tackling the question. Is like, it would be great if there was, you go to the pizza place and there's none of this like awkward level of conversation. I just want my pizza, man. That's all I'm here for. I would have gone to the conversation parlor if I was after this casual chit chat. What are we doing right here? So, no more of that because there's no person at the pizza place. You just make your own pizza. But yeah, so although it's fun to answer it that way, I feel like the big bulk of the question is like, how do you even care if humanity survives? Because some number of people, so again, if we got 7,000 people, some number of those people are gonna die pretty quickly by accident, by mistake. Especially because if it's just a random 1 in a million, some number of those people are gonna be children left unattended, and it's like, how long can a 4-year-old survive in the world? Which, incidentally, I think would make an amazing movie. If you're watching this and are a movie producer and or intend to be one, I think the best idea for a movie in the world is like, so, everyone dies, but children below the age of 5. How long can the children below the age of 5 start a new civilization, or do most of them die? Like, I really want to know, like, that's like golden idea for a movie. Please make it, Mr. Movie Man, watching this video. But no, so my actual, a lot of people are gonna, not make it. So you gotta be like, okay, 6,000 people. What are we gonna do? We're gonna try and get back to these great heights. The first 23 years of my life, I lived in this amazing society. Am I gonna, just live in a lawless one? So I feel like if you have some long-term plan, you've got to start acting immediately, because the longer people go without human contact, the crazier they get. And if you don't believe this, if you've ever seen, again, this is like heartbreaking to say in this way, but it's like, if you've ever seen how certain homeless people who haven't like interacted with people in some while, they get insane, and it's like, I don't want to be you feel like they're a danger to you by being around them. And when everyone gets to that level, humanity's done. Like, if we can't, if it's been so long since we spoke to other people that we're all a little deranged socially, and we're all being eccentric because we don't need to conform to human standards, things get real bad. So you've got to real quick work out, like, okay, I'm gonna try and find someone. How do I lead them to me, or do I look for them? Because if you lead them to you, who knows what their intentions are? Because again, there are some bad people in the world right now that just kind of, there's a lot of psychopaths, sociopaths, all the bad types of people who just work office jobs right now because, like, oh yeah, that's, it's convenient, that's what's there. But maybe in this hypothetical, they can do what they want. They can burn rabbits, and they can go around and just hunt people to kill them, because there's no law in a world of this few people, is there? Like, there's no way to, there's no prisons, there's no societal downside. So, you gotta be like, okay, do I fear my safety that much? As time goes on, you probably gotta fear your safety more. So I would say, lead people to your general area, maybe. Of signs, again, like in The Walking Dead, maybe. But I think the best way is just to go hunt other people. I think most people are gonna have a big footprint on them. Like, a guy's racing cars, that's quite loud. You'll be able to hear it from somewhere near. So go to a big city. For instance, London has a population of about 8.5 million. 8 people survive on average, maybe fewer, maybe more. Who knows for sure? But the fact that there are, potentially 8 people around there, one of them's going to make a noise eventually. If I stay there for a week, I'm going to find someone. If you don't have a city that's big near you, try and find the biggest population center. Or, in fact, use that, downloading you did earlier. Use it as your little thing. I feel like you've got to, really quickly just know where are people likely to be. And that's why I kind of like that. It, like, teaches you about, like, statistics of, like, oh, yeah, it's important to, density populated areas. Where are they? Wow, that many people live there right now. There's, like, 3 million people in a city over there. I thought it was way less. And it's also kind of depressing to realize how few people live where you are. Like, like, the big town near me, because I grew up in a village somewhere. Long story on that one, but I grew up near a big town, and the big town was always like, this is a big place. And nowadays you're looking, it's like, oh, it's the 52nd biggest settlement in the UK. I don't know if that's true, by the way. It's like, it's somewhere in the top 50, I believe. But it's like, wow, that is that's a lot smaller than you figure. Like, this huge place is actually only has 50,000 people or something in it, and yeah, it's just it's sometimes you realize and that's like, the UK is a pretty small country too. I feel like no one really taught us enough about this in school, and it's like a big problem with our country, where like the UK doesn't realize that we're not very big, because historically it wasn't important. Like, rule Britannia ruled the ways. Britons never will be slaves, etc. And like, that's fine. We do great with the ocean. That's kind of our forte or whatever. But nowadays, it's like, oh wow, pretty small country, not many people living here, eh? But yeah, so I would say you gotta find people, and you gotta try and get them on your side early, or at least be like, look, let's be friendly. At some point, yeah, things are gonna go pear shaped. Me and you against the world, eh? Like you gotta try and like almost like a feudal civilization. You gotta be like, look, how about I make the decisions and in exchange we can share. You know, we'll share the spoils of war, and I'll try and find more people. I'll give you protection in exchange for this and that. I don't know if I'd be the leader, if I'd be like someone who like just settled in someone else's. Like, ideally, you do find someone else's society, but then, like, oh yeah, the guy's a psychopath, and it looks like he's made murder a key part of his vision. It's like, well, I don't really want to live in a murder society. You know, we live in a society, except society means murder. That's just not sounding ideal to me at all. So the good news is, I now have a floor to my house. The bad news is I have a dolphin trapped in here somehow, which is, I guess, not good news. And also that I have to walk around my house like this a bit. So it's me and the dolphin kind of chilling together. Oh, this is weird. Do you see this water rendering glitch? Odd. Oh, look, yeah, look. It looks like the game doesn't know how to deal with glass in third person. That's an odd little fun glitch we found right there. But yeah, so we've got a dolphin in my house. I guess slowly we're going to try and drain this water. Always start from the outsides in, I want to say. Oh no, you want to start from the inside out, because otherwise you remove it and you get the water back, and it's just going to immediately recreate itself. So yeah, what we'll just do is we'll like section it off bit by bit, until there's only a little bit of water left in one of the corners. Let's say this corner up here. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to make this corner the water corner, or whatever corner the dolphin happens to be in at any given time. We're not going to punch the dolphin, because dolphins do not like being punched. That is a pro tip with Toycat right there. And we're going to slowly get rid of the water, because without water, it looks a little bit more depressing here, actually. I kind of like having the water now, that I mentioned it like that. You know, we'll have water in one corner, and then somehow stop it from flowing out into the other ones. Yeah, that seems like a solid idea. What could go wrong with that? Besides, literally, you know, everything. Yeah, but besides everything, what could go wrong? And I think you'll find the answer to that question is perfectly nothing. So yeah, we're going to have to deal with this somehow. But yeah, we got a house. It's even going to fill up now because it's raining. That's the funny thing. It's always bugged me a bit, but also made me happy that in Minecraft, when it rains, like, containers don't fill up. Besides cauldrons. But yeah, I really think the big question of how do you deal with, you know, like being 1 in a million or being some apocalypse situation, it's all about how you find other people and how you can deal with them and how you can eventually turn that into like getting the humanity going again. Because if you don't do that, if you just become 7,000 individuals, the odds of you randomly meeting someone or just having fun by yourself is really low. It meeting someone that you also, you know, are going to be able to breed with and, you know, actually carry on humanity with. It's like, okay, that's not going to work then, is it? So, yeah, I feel like you've got to do some amount of attempt to centralize, and I think the number you need in a group of people to not die from just all the other stuff, it's somewhere, again, this is like, I know it's disproven in some ways, proved in some other ways, but it's somewhere in the hundreds. We don't know how many hundreds, but it's like 400 is an often given figure, but you need a lot of people to just keep humanity going. It's the same with any, you know, species. Like, if you don't have 400 of it, how are you going to keep things going? That's actually why pandas, even though you might think, like, pandas, you know, everyone's saying they're almost extinct, but there's so many of them. There's 1,864 giant pandas in the world. You're like, you know, that's not even barely extinct. That's like, how many of me is there? There's one of me, and there's like, you know, 4 monitors around here. 1,800 pandas is like more than both those things combined. But it's because, like, one, pandas don't really care about reproducing. Like, pandas are the laziest animal we have in terms of just like, you know, they don't want to be alive. They just kind of are. And the other thing about pandas is that you need to keep at least 1,000 or so. Also, they're spread around the globe. A crazy thing, you know, actually, fun fact at Toycat is that China, they loan out their pandas as like a tool of diplomacy. If you upset China, you don't get pandas. That sounds ridiculous. That sounds like I made that up, but it's real. Fun fact for you right there. I can make 1 set of mossy cobblestone walls, and I think we're going to have to, as well as some regular cobblestone walls, because I've decided I want to have a garden. Oh, we can't make mossy cobblestone slabs. Oh, we could, if we shear some vines, we can make some moss stone. Ah, fun fact. But yeah, I have decided that this area in front of my house, I'm going to make it into a garden. And rather than one of those gardens that's attached to the house, I feel like this house isn't perfect for that. Instead, we'll have a gap between it. Like those weird houses that have a road running through, like, between their house and their garden. Maybe you've seen one, maybe you've never seen one. We're going to be doing something kind of like that. But here, we're going to use a shovel, which is why I went to the crafting table and then came back empty-handed. But yeah, I figured why not make just a little bit of an area, you know, a little bit separate to the house, and then have all my gardening thing going on there. Because, you know, gardening is nice. It's nice to plant something and watch it grow. At least that's what people tell me. I don't garden anything. If you look at my garden, you can't see my garden, but it's very, very tragic and depressing. It's just some stones covering up a lot of weeds that are trying to grow through the stones. So someday I should have a real garden. I hear it is satisfying, but not today. Not today. However, in Minecraft, I think you'll find we are going to have a garden. So yeah, this is roughly where we want it to be. I'm going to be using moss cobblestone. I've got 6 mossy cobblestone, 18 regular walls. So if I use a 1:4 ratio, so like 1 moss and then 4 regular every now and then, that should make everything work wonderfully. Does it actually work that way? I don't know for sure. I guess we'll find out. So 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th one of these. Try and do the same thing over here. So start regular cobblestone, go 1, 2, 3, and then that means we got to switch out to moss, and then 1, 2, 3, and now we go. Look, we got ourselves a functioning garden, which somehow, if we go across here, 1, 2, 3, moss. Oh no, I think I made a mistake. Oh no, I didn't. This is a nice little garden. It's 5 by 5, I want to say. Yeah, we got a 25 space garden. And now we can just find the 25 things we value most in the world, and we can plant them. I think gardens are a definitely undervalued skill. Okay, so for now, at least, cover it in ferns. We're just going to have a little fern garden. And then we'll bone meal them, make them mega ferns, maybe. I'm assuming that's what you can do. If it's not, then I'm going to feel greatly misled. But we got 23 bone meal, so we're going to grow. It is how you do it. So we're just going to have a little fern garden, because everyone needs a fern garden in their life sometimes. Maybe a big fern garden, maybe a small fern garden. But we all need fern gardens in our life. That is just the one constant. This is the weirdest build I've ever made in Minecraft. But yeah, I would say the challenge of being 1 in a million really is the challenge of you know, trying to deal with other people. Or you can just treat it as like, no more obligations for me. I'm gonna go to a trampoline park in the morning, then a water park in the evening, and I'm going to eat, I guess, canned tacos. Or, well, you know, and anything that's canned, you can eat, like, pretty much indefinitely. So you can be like, you know, canned spaghetti is my favorite food in the world, and I don't eat as much as I like right now. But guess how much I will be eating after I can eat as much as I like. As much as I like. So yeah, as you can see, this is my garden. It's looking pretty beautiful. It goes well with my house, in my opinion. I think, although there's some cleaning up that needs to be done for the house on the outside, make it look a bit from the top, I'm actually liking how things are going. I think the only thing we have left to go is the interior of this. So I guess what we'll be doing next time is working on the interior. Because for now, I think I've answered the question of how to survive being the 1 in a million people left alive. And that is to simply, again, even though I don't like other people, I don't like that I have to do this, I think it is the question of how do you find other people. And if it's not, it's the question of how do you live the best life you can, which easy answer. Just do whatever you want and hope you never stumble across someone. Yeah, it's either you have to hope that you do stumble across someone or that you don't. And that's kind of a funny difference. And if you do, but the thing is, if you don't want to stumble across someone, as long as you're not being loud, you can hide from them very easily. Like if you're in a trampoline park, someone notices it's on, they come in. All you have to do, walk out the back entrance, get in a car, drive away. They'll never catch you, you know. Or even if you don't drive away, just run away. They'll never hear that. As long as you do some things that are quiet, you can get away pretty easily. Even from a group of people. Like, it takes a lot of people with a lot of, like, backup to track you down from something like that. And that's something that you might not realize. That, like, you're not, in a world with very few people, you don't have to ever meet anyone again. Which is maybe the ideal world. Maybe it's not. I'm not too sure. But yeah, let me know what you think of my garden. Do you like that I've got a little separate garden to my house? Do you secretly hate everything we've done so far? Let me know in the comments, and let me know what you'd do if you were one of the only million people left alive, because I like seeing your hypothetical answers, as always. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all... Oh, you can't place ferns on anything but grass. And I'll see you all in the part 4. Maybe the final part. Who knows? I don't know.